Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. I don't know about y'all, but 2023 was quite the year for us. We wanted to sit down together and just come up with some of our favorite moments from the past year, share with y'all. So here we go. We're gonna rank them, 1 through 3? Our favorite memories, show you guys some clips.
Yeah. We chose 3. Yeah, last year was a huge year for us. Just in every aspect, I think, of our lives. But we kind of picked top 3 favorite memories. Each of us have different ones. I think we don't know each other's yet. So I'm gonna start from my least. You can do whatever too.
Okay.
But do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. And I don't know if this counts.
You're number 3.
But my number 3 would be the month of April.
Okay.
Only because I feel like that month kind of showed me what the rest of our year was going to look like. Like up into April, we had some really busy months. Yes, we were out of town like every month for some reason. But April really like kicked off and kind of showed me, okay, this is like the projection of our year. Like we're going to have a busy year full of a lot of memories, like a lot of new places. And in April, we did a photo shoot with my friend. And I'll link her information down below because she's an amazing photographer. But we got to see a really cool place in Colorado, the Painted Mines. It was just such a fun like memory. It was freezing cold, but it made for like beautiful pictures, and we'll show you guys some of those. And then we also went to Durango, Colorado for the first time, which is a cute little town. And we also got to fish at the San Juan, right?
Yeah, with our good friend Jude Duran. We'll link his info below.
And we have like all clips from that, like I want to show you guys. But that just month in whole was so busy. It was full of like new experiences, people, and like after that it was just go because then we had that crazy like May where we were barely in Colorado.
Yeah.
And then our summer was packed full, so it was like, I don't know, it was a fun way to like to have at the beginning of the year and kind of like a peek into what our life we're going to change into, because I think travel has become a big part of our lives for many different reasons, because we have family all over the place and all that kind of thing. So that is one of my top 3.
Up next for me, I think number 3 is the first solo duck hunt I went on.
Okay. When was that?
Shoot, it had to be November.
Of last year. Okay.
Of last year. So yeah, I think 2023 was a year of passion, where a lot of new passions for us came up, of our love for different things. Just, God did some incredible things in our lives, and took some dreams of ours and planted seeds to help them start to grow.
Yeah.
And one of my best friends here in Colorado introduced me to waterfowl hunting, and I went
Sparked a flame.
I went full force in my first hunt ever alone. I went to an area I'd been to with him a couple times before, but this time there was some pretty intense fog.
Yeah.
I got lost in the marsh. There was ice, it was cold, and then as the day progressed and sunrise came, the ducks just started doing it, but there's a really surreal moment where the temperature dropped and all of the fog froze to the entire marsh. And then the sun rose, and then the whole marsh was just sparkling, and the sound of nature and the ducks flying overhead, and just feeling really connected with God's creation. It was pretty cool. Yeah, thanks Jake for giving me a new passion.
So my second one is my missions trip that I had almost a year ago now. It was February in 2023. It was the beginning of February. We were newlyweds. We had only been married for a month. And I left to Costa Rica with my missions team. And that was just like life-changing for many reasons, but it truly just showed me like God's love, and how in our heads, I think sometimes we think there's barriers because of cultures and languages, just because it can be scary. You're going to a place that you can't communicate like you're used to, like just something as simple as passing the road signs. Like you have no idea what they say if you're not fluent in that language. While I tried to learn a little bit, like I definitely was not anywhere near fluent enough to like be able to read. Like it would take me a minute to think about what that could possibly meant. And it's interesting how you pick up on things while you're in a place like that, while you're immersed in the culture. But it's just amazing to see God's love work through people and through us, and that there was no language barrier when it came to that. Like, even though we had translators and stuff like that, just be able to be present with those people, and it's like you just knew how grateful they were in certain situations. You knew how loved the kids felt when we, went to the parks and we were doing balloon animals, and that was amazing. But also being able to work with a team was like, it was awesome because it felt like a family. And we only met each other at the beginning of the school year. Not even the beginning. Some of us knew each other, but when we got put into teams, some of those people I'd never talked to in my first year, and now we're in second year, never talked in the first few months, and now all of a sudden we're put together in this team, and we got to figure out how to work together. And we did a lot of prep. We had a lot of fun before we went to the mission trip together, but just being there and seeing how everybody came together. We had issues with the virus that a lot of people caught. So, and that I know was not fun for a lot of people. And just seeing everybody come together, it just felt like a family. And it was really cool to see, like, these are my brothers and sisters in Christ. And it's nice to experience that now and not just wait, until heaven, till we get to meet, our full family in Christ, but like really get to experience that and see what it's like to really be Jesus's hand and feet, and how each of us have a unique position or a unique spot in the kingdom of God, and how, like, when we're in what he's gifted us and how those gifts work together with other people's gifts when we come together, it was really beautiful to see. So that's probably my second one for sure.
Yeah, I think for me, number 2 is our trip to Washington, to Seattle, and
in August.
Yeah,
that was fun.
And that was really special for me for 2 reasons. One, we went out there to celebrate the marriage of one of my really close childhood friends, catch up with him, and just and we also got to stay with my best friend and his wife in their home, and it was kind of interesting because it was almost like a flashback for me, where the whole time my best friend and I, we just talked and played video games, and that's really rare in adulthood, but it goes back to when we were in, like, elementary school, middle school, doing exactly what we did when we became best friends. Yeah, this was even sweeter because now our families are growing, and just how good God's been to us, and just, getting to, like, reflect on those hard times we had in adolescence, and sharing with each other, and a close friend is really a huge blessing, and so getting that long extended period of time with them was pretty cool.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful in Washington. We had incredible weather the whole time.
Yeah.
It was his birthday too that we got to celebrate, so it was pretty cool. Yeah,
that was fun. My top one, and you know this because I did share, and like, remember when in Virginia when we were with my family, but it would have to be when we went camping in July. It was one of the most miserable camping trips I've ever been on in my entire life. But this one hike we did where we went to our first alpine lake together, it was just like, I can't like get it out of my head because it truly was like, I felt like I was on top of the world. I felt like all of the little things as a kid that I dreamed of all these cool places that I just dreamed of seeing someday, just realizing that I was there with my husband, and it was just such a fun day because it got us away from the terrible heat wave that everybody was experiencing. Like, it was so hot, and it was just beautiful up there. It was windy. There was like a rancher that came through, and you could see like the lake, but then we went to the other side where it started to go back down the mountain, or just where it went down the
outlet
mountain.
of the creek.
Yeah, because there was a different one going up that we saw, or was that the
That's
same
the
one?
inlet. Yeah.
Okay, well, anyways, it was just really pretty, and I like, again, I grew up on the East Coast. I'm from Maryland, and I'm sure there's beautiful places over there, but I was never close enough or really knew my way around, like how to get out and do those things, and sometimes you just have to get out and do it. but like having Brendan has really helped with that because he's more experienced in those kind of things.
Yeah.
But out west is just different, and I've fallen in love with the Rocky Mountains over here and just the different. It's just beautiful. Like it just felt like a dream. So that definitely was like, when I look back on the year, that memory definitely stands out on top as one of my favorites.
You know, that's not my number one, but that is really a special memory for me too, because the Lord taught me two things during that trip. The first one is to know His voice, and the second one is to be prepared. So we found that hike because we were trying to escape the heat. It was 110 degrees in our campsite, just miserable. So we hopped in the car and went for a drive, and I just saw a forest road and decided to make a turn on it. And lo and behold, we find this trailhead that says it leads to a lake. And just the forest road was pointed out to me because I felt a move in the spirit that kind of directed my eyes as I was driving there. And I was able to make that turn, and I'm glad I was able to listen to that.
Yeah.
The second one was being prepared. So that hike was pretty tough. And we had, something had told us to bring our backpacks, our water filters, all the stuff we needed to actually make that hike.
Yeah.
And secondly, the Lord had been leading me to take care of my body. And so I had lost a large amount of weight, and my fitness level had improved a lot. And that made it possible for us to even accomplish that hike.
Yeah.
So that little hike, and we spent the whole day there. We picnicked by the lake. It felt like a little oasis, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, the evenings were nice because the stars were so pretty, and it was so much fun. If you could give an honorable mention to a memory, what would it be?
I haven't given my number one yet.
Oh, you haven't. My
No.
bad.
So I think my number one was the day we adopted our dog Solo.
He said we're talking too much.
And he just walked off, but it's so interesting because it was like the first step we took in our family actually growing. And
Yeah.
Rachel, I knew we had wanted a dog, and Rachel started texting me one day about this puppy she found with this amazing organization that rescues and helps people adopt pups from shelters. And at first I wasn't about it. I was like, this is too much change. Trying to think about all the logistics, and just after praying on it and sitting on it and a little bit of coercion from Rachel, that amazing organization drove him the 5.5 hours.
And I think that was one of the biggest things, was that he was so far, and we did, of course, like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but we would not adopt a puppy unless we met him first. And I don't think the organization wouldn't have let us either, which is good. But so it's kind of tricky because Colorado's big, man, and that 5 hours is a little bit, so it would have been kind of tricky.
But they drove him to meet us, and when we met him, I pretty much, when I saw him, I was all about him.
Yeah.
And his temperament is awesome. He's highly trainable, highly lovable. He's a great dog, and he's brought a lot of
Love.
Yeah, and love, and just a dog just loves you unconditionally.
Yeah.
A lot of joy because he's so silly, and like it kind of started this desire for our family to grow more and take that seriously and think about what God has for us next. So I think the day we brought Solo, which is short for Han Solo, home was my number one memory.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, I always dreamed of having a dog. And it's funny that didn't make it into my top 3. And I love that memory. Like, I love that dog. But I never thought, like, a dog could bring so much joy. Like, I always wanted one. I always thought we'd be, like, best friends. But actually having one and like, I mean, we still know he's a dog. We're not going to sit here and treat him like a whole human. But he's still a part of our family, and we love him. And he brings joy to our household, and it like makes me excited when we have kids that they get to grow up with like a best friend that they can just go outside and do things with and just have fun. So yeah, that was definitely a big highlight from last year for sure. Do you want to mention?
Honorable mention.
If we had an honorable mention of last year, I'm telling you, last year was packed. Every single month was just blessed and packed of some type of great memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know mine. Can I go?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, as y'all figure out, when you marry somebody and you move in together, sometimes you have intense fellowship, aka a fight.
Yeah. That's what he calls our arguments.
Yes. And one of these nights, I was not in control of my actions. I was letting my emotions get ahead of me, and I said some things that were very unkind.
I'm not even gonna lie, I don't remember what that. I don't even remember what it was
and not
about.
loving. And we just decided to go on a walk and chill off. And I heard the Spirit told me to turn around and apologize to Rachel. And at first I didn't want to, and then I felt that overwhelming urge I ought to. So I did, and I gave her a genuine apology. The moment I did this, a shooting star, so yeah, a meteorite just split the sky open, just like the most incredible one I've ever seen. The big flash, and it broke apart, and I pretty much like leaped in the air with my jaw dropping, like screaming.
He didn't say what it was. He was just like, "Oh my gosh!"
And it took my breath away, and it. And Rachel was so freaked out, 'cause first I'm like, honey, I'm sorry, I did this and that, and that. And I'm like, ah! And then she turns around, and I think you saw the last...
I don't even think it was gone. And he was just talking about how amazing it was, and I was like, really?
But to me, that was God's affirmation of, a sign and wonder of His love. And ever since then, there's been... And seeing a shooting star is rare. But I've seen maybe a dozen this year now since that moment.
So many.
And it was pretty cool because almost always they coincide with the time of where I just feel really connected with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of take it as His sign of how much He loves me.
Yeah.
I
do think that's His sign to you, because He always sees them. Always sees them
and you always
first.
catch the trail.
Yeah, I always catch the trail, and I'm like, okay. The Lord has a sense of humor, but I do think that
you did see one. You saw
I did see one, and I think after complaining so often, He was like, okay, here you go. But I think the Lord has a sense of humor. That's why we know and have humor. But the Lord's going to make His relationship personal with you, and He wants to show us how much He loves us, and just little things like that. I think a lot of people have. Throughout their walk with Christ, something personal to them. And I really think yours is shooting stars.
Yeah.
He saw so many last year. So many. So.
What about you? What's your honorable mention?
I was thinking about that. Can I choose a month again?
Okay.
It would be May. Because even though May was one of our most tiring months of the year, it also, again, gave me a glimpse into something I dreamed of, which was traveling a lot. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people dream of that. And it just felt like a huge blessing. A lot of it was family. Because, two of them were graduations for family on completely different coasts. We had other stuff going on that month. I don't know. I think we went to Utah for the first time in May. That was really fun. A beautiful road trip. And it's funny because I was talking with you about this earlier. But I am a 100% believer that... Because I think a lot of people dream of escaping their 9 to 5 in order to live this awesome content creator life of traveling and all this stuff, or just travel to make money. And while, yes, that's cool, and maybe the Lord will call you to that, and I do feel like traveling has become a big part of our lives for different reasons, whether it's work, family, whatever, and we feel very blessed to be able to do that. But I think there's power in being wherever the Lord has you and not coveting and wanting that life. Because if the Lord calls you to a 9 to 5, then be content where He has you. Be happy where He has you. I would say that if He called us away from that, or like I'm currently not working a full time anymore for somebody else, but if He called me back to that, there might be a transitional period where I have to realize, okay, this is the Lord calling me back to that, but I want to know that I'd be willing to go and leave what this life that people would say they dreamed of having, because that's where the Lord has me, and I know that I would be way more blessed where he has me than trying to live this dream life.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that the younger generation is starting to like, I don't know, everybody talks about escaping the 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5 if that's what the Lord has for you. And there's awesome jobs in that. And not that you can't ever travel and all those things, because the Lord knows our desires and wants to bless us. But I just kind of wanted to mention that because
I totally agree with you. And there's a couple thoughts. Is that we're called to be faithful in the least. And, don't curse what's in your hand, desiring to get what's in your heart.
Yeah.
And you're to steward what the Lord gives you well. And so a way to do that is to do everything with a grateful heart. And for me, I work in a very technical field, very secular field. And a lot of the times I have to remind myself I'm doing all of this unto the Lord, right? And I literally speak my work onto the Lord and do it for his calling, because if I can't curse it if I'm called to provide for my family. If the provision he's given me, because I've been very faithful and it has astounded us. And just I can encourage everyone to be faithful in the least. When my brother-in-law, her brother told us that, if you ask God for a cake, he doesn't always just give you a cake straight out of the oven. Sometimes he gives you flour, eggs, sugar, milk, and he spaces that out, and you're being prepared to bake the cake you asked for.
I didn't know he said that.
Yeah.
Wise words.
And that was really profound to me. And so, kind of the reason why we're doing this is no matter how 2023 was to you, you have something to be grateful for.
Yes.
And it is always good to sit down and reflect and realize how good God is to you, and have a grateful heart for what you've been given. And, we're told to rejoice in our suffering, because that sounds kind of strange, but it's because we know who our God is, and the Lord we serve. And his goodness abounds beyond our understanding, beyond anything we deserve. There's nothing we can do to outwork the love of God.
Yeah.
Rather, our works are a sign of our faith. It's a sign of us knowing who our God is. And so I encourage you guys to sit down, whether you're single, married, dating, or not, and just spend some time and tell God how grateful you are for this past year, and have an expectation for good things coming forward.
Yeah, our words are very powerful. I think that's something, again, that a lot of us fall into, is because it's just so normal for certain people, well, for everybody to speak a certain way, because that's just the way the world is. But I'm telling you, if you change the way you talk, it will change the way you think. And there's a transitional period where you have to catch yourself, and you need to start saying, no, that's not true, this is true, whatever the word says. But I know I had to go through that, and I'm sure you did too. But there's power in that, and we are so grateful for last year. It was awesome, and I know both of us personally feel like the Lord has even bigger things this year, which is crazy to say, because last year was the biggest year of I know my life, full of just opportunity and memory and just things I never thought I would do this soon early on in our lives. But we are really excited, and we really, really want to encourage people who are like us, our age, that, it can be different. It doesn't have to be the world's way. God has a better way. And that's why we're doing this channel, to hopefully encourage people, and kind of give a glimpse into our life, and just the goodness of God. So we're really excited. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Solo.
Oh, you're so big.
Say hi to the camera.